Hi, and welcome to Chic West Podcast, a radio show that will help you not only claim your awareness around the concept of power, body, beauty, voice, and the arts of your life, but truly embody it. I'm your host, Estelle Thompson. You are here to widen your lens on the unfiltered and uncurated conversation we have in my Chic West membership program. And best yet, you'll get real life, tangible tools to stay real and true to you. Each season, we will interview incredible, knowledgeable guests, and you'll educate and uplift as we strive to live whole and not perfect. Welcome. Hi, Chic West. Welcome to Chic West Podcast. And today's episode, Jenn Grant is just so unbelievably honest, and she comes forward to us with such a story of, the way she grew up in PI from her kind of early days making music, writing songs, to becoming a mom and falling really deep in a postpartum depression. It's really the Jenn Grant we don't often see, I think, and she gives us with such a vivid portray of what it's like, what it was like for her. And so the theme that, I wanted to bring her on to speak about how art awakens. And the conversation went elsewhere. And I love, love, love that it did, because it's a conversation that really needs out. We need more mothers and more women to speak about the intensity of of motherhood, and also of mental health. I think that is such an important to shed light on everyone experiences. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I had, making it and listening to Jen and her gift of not only her artistic prowess, but also the magical and enthralling quality of her storytelling, and ultimately her rise in that. So enjoy. If you don't know Jenn Grant, in Here in Halifax, she's a Halifax folk pop singer, songwriter, and on a personal note, and I do mention this in the podcast, she has gifted me her song Raven, which has been now for 4 seasons, the emblem of my podcast. So enjoy. Bye. No, I never wanted it this way. Hi.
Hi.
You're here.
I'm here.
We always start with the first question at Chic West is, what makes you feel alive today, Jenn?
I think today, last night I filmed a Christmas special in my house, so it's kind of like the afterglow feeling of having accomplished something, but I have a lot more work to do. But I know that I got some of it done, and that makes me feel good. My baby is sleeping for a little bit. He's having his nap. My other kid's at daycare. And I'm about, after this, we're going to be mixing and editing this special that's going to come out Sunday. And and a couple other things. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you're a busy bee all over the place. But I've been wanting you on the podcast for so long. I'm such a girl crush, complete girl crush over you. Yes. And I just want to take a moment, just tell us your story, I don't even know where you grew up, and
okay.
And our theme is art that awakens. I want you to talk, I love your bio. I mean, your bio was so rich, and you believe, the power, intuition, and gut feelings and all this. And so just around that, where you got where you are today.
I grew up in PEI. I lived there when I was a kid until I was 10. My parents separated when I was 10, and then my mom and my brother and I moved to Halifax. And I started writing songs when I was a little kid. I don't know why I started writing songs, but just started doing it. And I think I just had this thing in me even as a kid where I just like needed to get something out. And I remember being, 7 years old. We lived in this big yellow house close to the ocean, in a field kind of surrounded by just like a few houses, and going outside in the field and just like screaming, just like screaming out like this, just like an animalistic kind of yell. And I think I just had stuff in me that I just needed to get out, and I just have that memory of just needing to get that out and just needing to have like this open space around me to like yell, like ah. Okay. And I think I'm still doing that, but I'm just doing it through. I mean, sometimes I'm yelling, but I'm doing it through music and art more these days. And art and music has been a big part of my life since I was a kid, and kind of been trying to hone in on that craft, and then eventually trying to also make it work for, creating sustainability for my family, and that kind of stuff.
When would you say like you started, like I know you say talk about this, I can totally see you too. I'm having this vision of like Anne of Green Gables, like walking in the field. But when, like, because I know just, you're into painting as well, and you went to NASCAD and all this, so there's all these different kind of avenues that you've taken, I think, to kind of bring out what's inside you out. Yeah.
I always loved painting, but I went to NASCAD also kind of because I had really bad stage fright, and I didn't know how to. I wasn't. Every time I tried to perform, I would shake so much. I found it really, really hard, and that went away. But
How did it went away, you think?
well, I went to see a Tegan and Sarah show at the Marquee in Halifax, and I remember.
Oh my God, I love them. I love Tegan. Yeah. And you know what, Jen? I think I saw you play. Did you ever play Victoria, BC, like 9 years ago?
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God. I went to see you. I want to remember the place. It was like a little dingy, like kind of jazzy place in Victoria, BC. Wild. And I saw you at the Cowbay Hall too. I don't know if you remember that one. I want to know how you got over your stage fright. Yeah.
The stage fright. So I went to see this Tegan and Sarah show at the Marquee in Halifax, and I just remember feeling really kind of like sad because I was watching them and I was thinking, that's what I'm meant to do, and I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing? And there was this little tiny club in Halifax on a corner of Agricola and West Street, One World Cafe, and I think before that it was called Salvation. So this was like early days in 2004, maybe 2003, and I went in there and I met the owner, and I booked a show to play at the end of January, and I think this was like mid-December that I had watched Tegan and Sarah, and I called my brother cousins because they were kind of like brothers, Andrew and Rob. I asked them if they would play with me, and we all had stage fright together, so we did this thing together. And it's funny because I was thinking about this the other day, but we booked the show, and they played guitar, and I sang because my fingers were kind of shaky. I booked the show, but I wouldn't let anybody go to the show. Like I think I let a couple of people go, and other people like friends and stuff from high school and whatever, they wanted to go, and I said no. I think I said yes to like 4 or 5 people. But then working at this place was Tyler Messick, who's a great singer-songwriter from here, and Pamela Underwater, another great musician, and a couple other people, like Al Tuck was there maybe. Like there was like people who were kind of like heavy hitters in the scene, and who I had never even met, who were just hanging out there. And then so I just remember them being there and like kind of paying attention to me, and just feeling, because as soon as I got on stage, actually I felt like this confidence, and it kind of never left. I don't know why. I guess it was the support. I think, you know what it was because I knew that my cousins were feeling nervous. It's like the caretaker element or something like that. It just took over. Like I wanted to make sure that they felt good. So I just kind of was like, I feel good, and that's how my career started, I guess.
how incredible that all those people were there that night.
Yeah, it was strange.
And now you know them just from the community, I
Yeah,
guess, the music
yeah.
community. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I have dreams about Tyler Messick. Like, I have these weird, like, dreams about like swimming with Tyler Messick, like not in a romantic way, but like these really vivid dreams. And then I think
Yeah.
he has a song called "What Does It Mean If We Meet in Dreams." I don't know if that has to do with that, but I think it does. But I'm not sure.
Why do you think it's important for you to make art? And I'm also curious because you're so entrenched in babies and motherhood right now in this season that I'm talking to you. Do you think motherhood has helped you thrive in creativity, or have you seen the difference? Yeah.
Like I was saying about wanting to, like, I want to nourish my children in every way. So I want to like, I feel like nourishing my art and creativity gives them nourishment, like in all of
Mm.
the ways. And I like the idea of bringing them up through this experience and letting them experience me following my passion, and which is something my mother instilled in me. And so I think that it's given me kind of a new sense of a purpose where it's I mean, I've always kind of followed the artistic path because I think that it gives something to other people, while I know it gives something to me as well. But like giving to others has always really given me a big boost.
Mhm.
And now I feel like I'm looking at it more strategically, like I'm doing this as well for my family, if that makes sense.
Mhm. It does make sense. And your partner is a musician as well.
He's a musician. He's a record producer. He is a jack of all trades. He has helped me with. He's really like led the ship in a lot of ways for me with like lots of different like making videos. We make music videos together. He's done tons of graphic design. I'm just like starting this time at home has really given me an opportunity to become a little more self-sufficient with like tools that he's always kind of been in charge of, but like I'm really getting into editing, and I've got some recording gear that I'm got gonna he's gonna mentor me on how to just there's always little things that have to get done, like somebody needs you to get on the radio and sing a song, or da da da, and I don't want him to be in charge of all that stuff. Like I really crave independence as well, and he's
Yeah.
just so gifted and talented and smart and fast at things that it's been really the go-to for Danny to do a lot of the stuff where I don't actually like that feeling. So I'm trying
Mm.
to use this time to like also hone my skills, like where it's not my natural go-to. Like I'm really creative and like to be like on camera or painting and stuff, but like you know like sitting at a computer and like learning how to use a Cubase and blah blah blah, like that's not like my thing, but I'm getting into it.
For those of you who know me, know that I am obsessed with flowers, but also essential oils. I was flipping out, so excited when I came aware of Lightwater Essential Oil Blend Company right here in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. The bottle is so pretty, and there's so many ways to use each blend. From the energetics of chakra work, meditation, or daily uses in headache relief, deeper sleep support, or to tap into a creative space. There's so much to explore and a blend for everyone. My current faves are the Create and Power Blend, but my house will definitely smell of winter woods during the holidays. Lightwater is offering the Chic West community a whopping 20% discount on all regular priced items. Go to Instagram or their website, lightwatereo.ca. That's lightwatereo.ca, and use SHE at checkout for a 20% discount. Again, that's capital CHE to explore these blends yourself. Happy holidays! I totally know what you mean. I love to create content
Yeah,
and be do that. And the computer drains me, but I know it's
yeah,
a vital part of what I need to know too, you know?
right,
Um,
yeah.
but I'm curious, how do you talk, your biography is so beautiful, and you talk about I love this idea of like, you're writing a song and the song kind of comes in you in a dream, or like you kind of get a download. Like perhaps you can talk to us about that process of like when the songs like find you, or
Yeah.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, they just kind of, they kind of fall into my lap a little bit, and it feels like a moment where you got to catch something, and if you don't, it's gone. So I have to,
Mm.
and sometimes I miss them, and it's been happening to me a lot lately with ideas. Like I feel like I've been shifting out of like songwriting and shifting into like this other thing. Like I've been making these like stupid skits and stuff on.
Oh my God, they are LOL. Okay, let's just pause a minute to appreciate like your videos.
So like this Christmas special that I filmed yesterday that we're like working on now, it's just like I'm like up in the middle of the night, like feeding my kid and like nursing my baby, and then just being like, I need to go to sleep, and I'm like, oh, I can't because I have to like write down this thing, or it's gonna be gone. And so I feel very like full of ideas right now, but it's different. It's not just like sitting and writing music. Like I feel kind of far away from that process right now, but it's nice to have other things to go to, like just like this whole like pandemic has given me this gift of not being on tour, because I did tour with Gus until the pandemic started. So like from 9 weeks old till whatever, a year and a bit or something, he was touring with us. Like, and it was, I wouldn't change it now, but it was so crazy. And like just the day to day is so crazy. Like every second is full. I know you know what I mean. And like I don't know. I'm just really enjoying the break. I needed a shift, and I feel like I needed a shift, and I asked for one, and I got one.
I love
Not
that.
to say that the pandemic is my doing, but
Jen,
I was
what did
like,
you do?
"You come to change," and then it was like, "You can't go anywhere," and I was like, "Great."
But I love that. I know. I love that mindset though. Like you said, the gift of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
like looking back, like I love to reflect like that. Okay, what can we celebrate here? Like looking back, what's it, it was like a huge pivot, but like, it's like, no, it was actually like, this was a gift, I love that you said that. But like, tell us a story. Like, let's say like Raven, that song that I love so much, or like one of my favorites of yours is In Your Dreams, or I love the Lion one. What's the Lion one? Is so good. I play it in my yoga classes all the time. Like, do you sit down and just write it out, or it's like bits and pieces, or it's different?
Yeah, that song. I mean, my creative process is simple. It's just I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to write something simple, and I just like sat down and there you go. That's it. I mean, with Raven, that song I wrote on the keyboard downstairs in the basement when Danny was making a record with the Good Lovelies. And I just remember like there was a microphone set up with reverb, and I was like, oh, I love singing with reverb. And then the song just kind of came out, and it was just like the beat drove the writing of that song. And whereas Lying With Me, I wrote on an acoustic guitar, was just kind of like this love song to where we live in Lake Echo, and to my partner, and just kind of about like finding the beauty in the daily struggle that we were experiencing, which is not a huge struggle, but just literally trying to get out of the driveway because there's so much snow, and loading the van full of gear and driving to the airport and flying somewhere and being exhausted and putting on a show and blah blah blah, and all the like boring details of like what it is to really actually be a musician on the road, being like, I would rather do this with you than not.
Like, do you practice every day? Like, I just get
Lord,
so
no.
inspired. No, no.
I hate practicing.
Yeah. So it's like seasons of your life
Like,
more.
yes. When the guys are like, we need to practice. And I'm like, yeah, we need to practice because we have a show, so we better practice. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to practice. I want to just play in front of people and write and record. And I try to make the best out of rehearsing.
How you talked about a bit about the pandemic and how you kind of had to pivot there, but do you feel like it's easy for you to embrace kind of the changes in your life? Yeah.
I really am good at embracing change. And I think that's because my parents, like when they separated and we moved around a lot, my brother's a really busy cinematographer in Ontario, and just love him so much. And we have talked about how that was kind of a gift for us as well, because like we moved a bunch of times and had to learn how to make friends a bunch of times, and kind of like, it was a while before either of us really settled into a place and we're like, we live here now. Or, someone actually recently told me that I'm good at pivoting, and no one ever said that to me before, and I never thought about it. But this pandemic, I've really pivoted, and I'm just like, I'm excited about new ideas that are different. I said, because really, like the last year of my touring, I think I started to feel like I was in a bit of a hamster wheel, like I was doing the same thing, and the audience is always so great and beautiful, and I love them, but I just kind of felt like, I can't do the same thing over and over and over again. That's just not me. So I want to have shows for the rest of my life. I want to have like beautiful special shows, but I think I'm done with like the hamster wheel thing.
It's nice to innovate too. And I think sometimes when like change like comes our way, we're like, just creatively, we're like, okay, like just find new ways to like lead,
Yeah.
and I love that.
I'm loving painting, and I'm loving like making this Christmas special thing. It's like, I'm basically, my feelings right now is like, I don't want to have just like online Zoom concerts, but I want to make specials, like I want to make something that's like really feels like a new type of craft.
Have you made change like over the years? Like if you think of Jenn when she was like in her like early 20s, like do you feel you've made change over the years that like allowed you to connect kind of deeper with your work? Like it's so refreshing to interview you, because a lot of times I hear people like it's really like we talk about creativity, but much more in like a resistance almost. It's like it's hard, and for you it's like, no, like songs just come to me. I love it. It's like, no, it's just like it seems so natural for you. But I'm wondering if like over the years you've somehow just like almost in mini pivots like all over the place. I'm curious.
I mean, when I was in my young 20s, I was like out every night getting drunk, like listening to bands, just like going crazy, partying, dancing all night. Like, I wasn't doing anything. But then when I went to like book shows, I was booking them for myself, and it was easy because I would just call the bar and be like, "Hey, Tony, what's up? Can I come over and sing?" Sort of that's something I did then to start where I am now, I guess.
Yeah. It's just you're so where you should be, So
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, when I started started in the music business, like I didn't know that what I was doing at all. Like I didn't know that I was starting what I was doing. I was just like, I'm just gonna go play some songs, and then I was like, let's get in the van. It was very organic and very, very loose.
If somebody were to come up to you like an aspiring singer songwriter, is there any, like I love to get really hands-on in the podcast, is there like any ways you tell them like how to start almost building a relationship with like your intuition? And like for so many of us this kind of side is so dormant.
I always found that like going to concerts, like going to see live music and listening to music always really opened up something in me. Or I have found that, for a long time, I think I would draw on emotional upset, if I was like sad about something or angry, I would be like, oh, I better go like play music because I might get something out of this. And now I feel like I approach it from a different way. I don't need to be like hard done by or angst feeling or something. Like I just can go to work, because I feel like more of a experienced, kind of like a seasoned professional a little bit, that I could just go and be like, oh, it's time to do my job. So I'm just going to sit down and do it. And I know how to tap into that source so easily, I think now, because I've done it so many times. It's just like kind of when you trust your instincts, and like when you listen to the inner voice, the more you do it, like the better you are at connecting to it. And so I can connect to that really well because I've done it so many times. I really, really trust my instincts. Yeah. And I just I enjoy the risk element of music, and to kind of just feel like you're plunging into something and you don't know what you're going to get out of it,
And I mean, it's funny you say that about your songs, but right now I see a lot of that coming out in your little videos that you're putting out
Oh
too.
yeah, it's
It's
ridiculous.
so great. Like they're so funny, but I always like after I'm like, they make me feel like just playing and
Yeah.
just not take life so
Well,
seriously.
I don't know when you're like airing this, if this is like Christmas season or when you're airing this or not, but like I was telling my brother this on the phone this morning that I feel like with all like fully genuinely, I feel like my job right now is to bring Christmas cheer to people because
Yeah.
it's been such a crazy year. Like I'm just like I know how to do that. Like I know how to bring joy and that is what I'm doing. That is my purpose right now.
Hey, so in case you didn't know already, my name is Estelle, and I'm a Quebec born, Nova Scotia living yoga teacher, creative mentor, visual artist, author, and grief activist. You can visit my work and offerings at estellethompson.com. That's ESTELLETHOMSON.com. And subscribe if you like this conversation and it's helping you, it has an impact on your life. Please subscribe, give Chic West Podcast a 5-star review, and the best thing you can do is just take it a screenshot as you're listening to it and post it on your Facebook or Instagram story, and it just really helps me get some traction, momentum, and share with others what you love, what you're listening to, and it's helping you because it might just help someone else. Thanks so much. Bye. Merci. Mwah. And I love that you said about like going out to see shows. Like obviously we can't do that right now, but I feel that way too. Like they like other artists like become such great like expanders. Like even you were mentioning like Tegan and Sarah, and you're like, oh, I see myself in them. Why am I not like doing that and almost like crashing the barriers, of like, yeah, I love that. How about, do you have any favorite like tools for self growth? I love to debunk all that on the show.
Sure.
Is there, yeah, anything? Do you like journal at all, or do you like anything? Like, yeah, I know you're in like a season. Your babies are really small and everything, but yeah,
I have journaled. Like I went through a really, really massive postpartum depression and anxiety when my first son was born. It was I don't know if you knew that or not. Did you know?
no,
Yeah, it was I've only sort of barely touched on it publicly, but it was very, very, very intense. Like I did IVF and I was really positive through the whole thing. I've been really fortunate my whole life as well that I've always had really, really steady mental health and felt quite grounded and really been able to use tools like yoga and meditation and art and music to get me through like hard times and to also like always like be able to create something beautiful with meaning out of my hard times.
yeah,
And then I got to this place like 10 days after my baby was born that my hormones crashed so hard that like I thought I was having a stroke. I called an ambulance. I had like 6 panic attacks. I was like so dizzy. I couldn't walk. Like I lost a ton of weight. I couldn't eat. Like I couldn't watch TV because I couldn't look at lights. Like I was scared of everything. It was the hardest time of my whole life. And while I was experiencing that, I was like getting photos done for my album cover, promoting a new record, and touring. And it was unbelievably fucking devastating. And finally, I got help. I tried to get help a few different times, but no one would help me because they thought I was like literally, they were like, "You're Jenn Grant. You don't have anxiety." And I feel like it was like borderline postpartum psychosis. Like it was really, really bad. Like I thought I was going to be institutionalized. I like told my baby that I didn't want him to feel upset. Like that I might get like I basically was like said goodbye to my baby at one point because I just didn't know what was going to happen to me. Like it was so incredibly brutal, and it was like the worst season of life, like in every sense of the word. It was Gus was born December 11th, and our whole property was covered with ice. I couldn't get anywhere, and I couldn't get anywhere. finally, like I went to like my osteopath who was like, you don't need anything. You're good. Like read this like
What?
bullshit fucking book I'm going to give you at night if you start to feel stress. And like I had full on insomnia for 4 months, and I was like trying to read these like things to be like read myself out of this postpartum hole I was in, which like you can't do.
No.
And so I started taking sertraline, an anti-anxiety, antidepressant, after going through this for 4 months. And I was on tour and everything, and I knew that I had to start taking something. Like I was really, really fighting it because I've been such a pro. Not that I haven't been like pro medication for other people, but like I was. I've always been able to handle myself with the other tools, you know,
Yeah.
and but I was going on tour, you know, and I couldn't do it. I was so scared. And finally my IVF doctor like helped me and like got me a prescription, like not enough of a prescription, but like he's not that type of doctor, but like my family doctor wouldn't help me, like because he was like, I've known you since you were 10. You just played a show with the symphony. And yeah, I did play a show with the symphony. I don't know, like I somehow did that. Like my first show back, it was like the last show I did one show when I was really pregnant in August, and then the next show was with the symphony. You want me to go in front of a fucking symphony and I'm like gonna die, and I have this like 3-month-old baby, but I did, and everyone was like, "Great show." But anyway, so my point was this: no one would help me, and finally, my IVF doctor, because his wife is a doctor, like they kind
Yeah.
of helped me, and my cousin-in-law, she's amazing. She works in mental health at the IWK.
Yeah.
She got me in touch with a psychiatrist at the IWK, and so and like kind of got me there, and it was like this patchwork quilt of help that I fabricated for myself. And
Yeah.
you know, Danny was as supportive as he could be, but he's used to me being really strong and really, really resilient, and I am. And something that someone told me during that time, which I thought was really beautiful, was you know, in like these hardest times when when you are broken and cracked open, you are the strongest, which I thought was really meaningful and poignant. And so I was really strong. I was so strong. I was so broken. And and then finally, like I got on like the right dose of the medication, and I just stayed on it because I was like, because then I got pregnant again, and it's safe for pregnancy. And I was like, well, my plan was to go off of it after I felt good, because I felt good after 6 months of being on it. But then I got pregnant again, and I was like, okay, that can't happen to me ever again. And you know, so I still take that, and I have zero side effects, and I feel like myself. I'm talking about it in some situations when it feels like the right thing to talk about, and which is good, which is right for me. Like I don't want to constantly talk about it, you know. Like I want to bring, as I said, like I want to bring joy to people, which
Yeah.
I'm doing, but I also want them to know how fucked up I was, and like how I want to be that person that can help. There's so many women who go through that. It's
So many, so many. Listening right now, you're gifting them your story. Do you
yeah,
know that?
like I know that my experience was very, very intense, like very, it was incredible. And I'm glad that I had that experience, because my empathy understanding now of mental illness is vast, and I can be that person for other
Mm.
people, because I'm still strong.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ.
But also, like the whole time.
Gorgeous son. Like basically, yeah, my gorgeous, gorgeous son, and I'm lucky because it didn't affect my relationship with my son, because I know that for a lot of women, it can also really, really affect your relationship, which is also nothing to be ashamed about, and is not their fault. But I'm very lucky that I just had my beautiful baby with me the whole time, and like I always just felt so madly in love with him, like the whole time. You know, that before he was born, like for years and years before he was born. And then I got pregnant again as a surprise. So anyway, your question, you know, my answer is to be an advocate for your own health in whatever way that you need to do. And sometimes that's really challenging, especially when you're falling apart and you need other people to help you. So, like, accepting help. This time when I had my baby, my brother, obviously I couldn't have anybody around because it was COVID. And that was also kind of good because I sometimes get really overwhelmed with like feeling like I have to host people. But my my brother and his wife Tessa, my sister bear, they they gifted me with, and her parents who I love, they gifted me with the gift of a postpartum doula who is Wanda Cox, and she's been such an incredible. She came over. I called her one night. She taught me she did our prenatal class with Danny. That's how Danny and I met her, and we loved her. And then when I had a panic attack on Christmas night, and it was the first one, I didn't know what was happening. I thought I was going to die. I thought I was having a seizure, or I thought I was having a stroke. And so I was texting like Amy Milan. We decided to call Wanda, and Wanda came over and she stayed all night, and they gifted me with 40 hours with postpartum doula. So she was around for me. So I knew that I was going to have that support because I don't have any family in Nova Scotia. I don't have my mother in this world. And so I needed some kind of like support set up like that. And that was a really, really good gift. Every time I started to feel overwhelmed or feel like, oh my God, like what if this like awful thing like happens again with my hormones? I knew that I had her, that she was going to be around if I needed that. I knew that I knew what medications I could take if I was going to panic or something. And like I had my systems in place. I had everything in place, and I was lucky, and I was like very healthy. It was so much different. It was the opposite experience the second time.
Wow.
But one thing that Wanda did when she came over to help me in the middle of the night, she said she never reacted to somebody she never saw someone react so intensely to water before. Like I was told I wasn't allowed to have a bath because I had a C-section. I had like an emergency C-section with my first son, which was really fucking terrible and beautiful. So I wasn't having any baths, but I've always really found that water is one of my best options for self-care and self-love. And she was like, screw that, don't worry about not getting in the bath, just get in the bath. And I was like, really? I can get in the bath? And like I got into the tub and she passed and be the baby, and I was like, am I allowed to hold the baby? Like that was like the frame of mind that I was in. Like it was awful. And as she said, like as soon as I got in the bath, she just saw like all of my like fear and stress just like melt away. And so yeah, a bath is great.
Water is such like a cleanse too, and like it holds you just like, it's like the great mother, a bath.
Connections with women. I love like conversations and like yoga with women. Like I have so many beautiful male friends, but there is something about like female friends that is really beautiful. Yeah, it's just like I feel like conversations, like calling somebody on the phone. I get really sick feeling if I'm on my cell phone too much, and it's unfortunate with my job and work and with your work. Like it's sort of it's a necessity, and it's like the necessary evil, but which I also had like a huge issue with my first record, and because I was going through all that stuff at the same time. It messed me up. But now I have a health, like I had to withdraw from social media like 100%, like while releasing a record, and everything was just, I hated it. And like I had to unfollow all of my friends and just like try to still have things come out online while I was like just couldn't deal with that presence in my life. And like so I basically like I retreated as much as I could and like kind of dealt with it all, and then kind of creeped back, and now I use it as like a healthiest tool as can be. Yeah. And also like making it my own, like kind of using it as a tool to like bring joy to people, like so I don't feel like I'm always just like sell. Like it's not what I crave. Like that doesn't fill me up in any way. But like if I can instead promote my work via some ridiculousness and stuff on the internet, then great. Like that works for me.
And like first of all, like just thank you for gifting us with like your story. I just could hear you speak all day. And I think those important, like those conversations are so important to have, because so many women do suffer.
That is not necessary. You do not need to suffer. And
Yeah.
that's such an important message. You don't deserve to suffer. So like,
Yeah.
take the help, get help.
Get help. And like on a personal level, like you were speaking, and one thing that struck a chord for me, like personally, because like I'm like joy and sparkles and magic unicorns, blah, blah, blah. And people are like, how do you like, how are you so excited about life all the time? And part of me is like, I wish they knew how you can only be as cheery and light as you can be the other way too. Know the other side,
Yeah.
And I really see that in you too. I just love you so much. But does it, because we're not like you just kept repeating the word intense, that was so intense. And like I want my life to be intense both, both ways,
Yeah.
I cherish you so much. One last thing before we go into a bit of rapid fire, but is there one thing like you mentioned taking a bath for sure, like to ground yourself, but is there any other tools you can?
Food and water, honestly. It's like gorgeous food, like cooking a meal, sharing a meal and a conversation, lighting a candle, connecting to your body. I do Reiki. I studied a bit of Qigong, getting outside and just like being with the intelligence of nature and connecting to like those sources and grounding to the earth, like sharing and like sending, like I send Reiki to people all the time. Just like
Yeah.
giving love where you can, and painting to me feels like yoga for my brain, um and just like reveling in the absolute beauty of my children.
All right. Are you ready? I have little quick fire
Right.
questions. Yeah, you're good. You're
Oh
good.
yeah, sure. Who knows?
Favorite mantra.
It will be okay.
Ooh. Favorite flower.
Wild.
Favorite book you've read about the creative path.
The Artist's Way.
Ooh. Favorite show on Netflix.
The new girl.
How about a favorite podcast?
This one. Also,
Favorite.
I love my friend Tara Thorne has a podcast called The Tideline.
I saw that yesterday. You posted that. I have to check it out because I love her. Yeah. Favorite treat.
Like sweet potato chia pudding.
Amazing. All right, my last question is a loaded one, but I have faith in you, Jenn Grant. Are you ready?
Yes, but I also feel like my first mantra, I don't think that is my mantra, but that's someone else's mantra they told me the other day. I don't actually really know if I have a mantra. I just like breathing. I just take a breath.
Yeah, I go through my mantras,
I
they
always like
change.
forget my mantras.
Yeah. All right. Knowing what you know about the transformative power of art, what do you wish women to know more about its magic?
I would wish that you just do it, because I think it's hard to just start sometimes. And I think that if you just start, then you can really connect to your inner self, and then you feel peace, and then you can spread that peace and love to your family and your friends.
So lovely. You're so lovely. How can we support you?
You can buy tickets to my Christmas special for this Sunday night. If this goes out before then, I don't know if it will though.
What if do you have a CD
I
too?
have a new Christmas album out, and I have like 7 records. I've got all kinds of stuff.
Amazing. So we go on your website, yes, or Instagram, and
Yeah, sure. Any of the things.
everyone listening to this, go on Jenn Grant's Instagram and watch her hilarious little mini clips. You are so cute and you are so intense, and I love you so much.
Love you too.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
so
time.
much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
This podcast was produced by Tosh Taylor of the Podcast Hub Productions. Find her online at podcasthub.ca.